Greetings and welcome to the channel. My name is Martin and this is a review of a cool yet budget-friendly router from Xiaomi, the 4A model with gigabit ports. Let's find out what it can do, tune it up and talk about the competitors a little. The review will be big and informative, so sit back, enjoy watching and let's go. Routers have been used everywhere for many years, and if you have an old one, you probably experience such problems as bad internet and bad Wi-Fi. Many people blame the internet service provider, but let's be honest, the provider is not always to blame. Unfortunately, any device over time begins to work worse, and routers running 24/7 are no exception. Looking ahead, I can safely say that the Xiaomi router will satisfy the majority of people, and there is a microtic for more demanding and advanced users. Package and appearance. The router is shipped in a fairly large cardboard box in the corporate style of Xiaomi. On the front side, under the model number, it is stated that we have the Gigabit Edition, which indicates WAN and LAN ports in 1 GB per second. On the reverse side, we have the specification, the QR code for downloading the My Wi-Fi application, and the serial number and the MAC address of your device. After opening the box, you will find the manual, the warranty card and the router. Under the router, you will find a LAN cable with 8 wires which supports 1 GB connection, a warranty notice and a white power adapter with 12 volt 1 ampere European plug with a standard socket. In case of damaging the PSU, to find one to replace it is not difficult, except that it is harder to find a white one than a black. The router itself is made of white plastic, which is remotely reminiscent of the soft touch coating. The dimensions of the router are 200 on 122 on 25 mm. Also, we see 4 fixed antennas, which have 2 modes of fixing and the possibility to rotate them on the axis by 180 degrees. The length of the antennas is 170 mm. Also, on the back side, there is a mechanical reset button for 1 WAN and 2 LAN ports, as well as a slot for a power supply. Above all this, there are holes for heat dissipation. The router's bottom part is made of perforated plastic, mainly for the efficient cooling, material saving and weight saving. Through the perforation, we can see the router's board with some components on it. There is also a sticker with different information, including the model, serial number and the MAC address of the device. By the way, the projecting legs don't have any anti-skid properties, so you can play a hockey with it. On the top of the router, just under the logo, there are 2 indicators, system status and network status. The system status indicator can shine orange, blue and purple. The difference between the global and China versions. I would like to briefly tell you about the difference between the global and China versions. Officially, on the market of CIS and EU countries, Xiaomi supplies its products, designating it as global. In our case, with the router, main difference from the Chinese version will be that, in addition to the Chinese language, there are 12 another one, and a PSU immediately with a standard plug for our sockets, rather than the Chinese are in need of an adapter. Well, in addition, all the papers will be multi-language, and of course there will be no questions with the warranty. The characteristics of memory, processor, communication are shown on the screen. The difference between 2.4 and 5 GHz. Before we get to the testing of our router, I would like to clarify an important point regarding the Wi-Fi broadcasting and give a small analogy for understanding. The primary difference between 2.4 and 5 GHz wireless frequencies is the range of the signal. With the 2.4 frequency, the signal is transmitted over a longer distance compared to the 5 GHz. The second difference is the number of devices operating on these frequencies. At 2.4, the wireless signal is more susceptible to interference than with using 5 GHz. The 2.4 frequency has fewer channel choices with only 3 non-intersecting channels, while the 5 GHz frequency has 23 non-intersecting channels. Many other devices also operate on 2.4 frequency, like microwave ovens and cordless phones. These devices interfere with the frequency environment, which further reduces the wireless connection speed. In both cases, choosing the 5 GHz frequency is a better option because you have more channels at your disposal to isolate your network from other networks, and there are fewer sources of interference and much higher data transfer rates on this frequency, as you will see on the following tests. To give you an analogy, the frequency of broadcasting can be compared to a road. If you live in a city and you have a road with one lane, imagine what happens there during rush hour when everyone goes from or to work. A narrow road is a 2.4 GHz frequency, which is fine in the countryside, but not suitable for urban areas. The most important and informative part is the actual speed test of the router. Fortunately, I have internet up to 1 GB per second, so the test will be full-fledged. The test was done directly without using the router, as well as with it over the wire and over Wi-Fi at both 2.4 and 5 GHz frequencies. The test involved a 2019 MacBook Pro and a Samsung S20. All tests were done in relative proximity to the router at a distance about a meter to get maximum results. As our MacBook doesn't have LAN and we couldn't find an adapter, we measured the speed with the help of Asus ZenBook UX51VZ notebook and received the result about 550 megabytes per second upload and 750 megabytes download without using the router. Through the router we received 528 download, but at 5 GHz frequency radio module of our ZenBook is obviously outdated and the speed values a little over 100 megabytes per second. The MacBook kicked up a notch and showed 539 download and 443 upload at 5 GHz. And for the 2.4, the values were 47 in download and 98 in upload. The Samsung S20 test was about the same as the MacBook's 509 on upload and 467 on download for 5 GHz. And 62 and 85 megabit on 2.4 GHz. The result of all the tests were summarized to the overall table that you see on your screen now. The speed measurement test has a small margin of error. This is noticeable when testing without the router. And after with the router, the speed is even higher, and this is not because the router has increased the transmission, but simply the speed is a little bit floating. I guess for those who use only 100 megabytes per second internet, this sounds strange. And what is your internet speed? Let us know in the comments. In the place where the tests were conducted, there are quite a lot of repeater points that broadcast on both 2.4 and 5 GHz frequencies. Most of the spots under the TM name is our corporate Wi-Fi network, as well as a couple of neighborhood spots. In bedroom communities with multi-story buildings, the situation will be even worse. So back then, when I still did not have a router with 5 GHz, my home router McCartech RB951 Ooyy detected more than 120 neighborhood Wi-Fi devices. As a result, from 6 PM to 11 PM in prime time when everyone is sitting at home browsing, I almost never used Wi-Fi. My nervous system was much important to me. If the router will be used at the cottage or not very densely populated area, the router at the frequency of 2.4 GHz will be enough, such as the younger model XIAOMI Mi router 4C. Otherwise, without broadcasting at a frequency of 5 GHz, that will not make the trick. As for the stability of the router, I have no complaints, and judging by the reviews of users, the router really works steadily and without failures. The speed and the level of Wi-Fi signal is normal. I have nothing much to say about it, but soon there will be a video of top routers, and there I will be making a test of the signal of each router, as well as compare the data transfer rate in all models. If the topic is interesting for you, support the channel with likes, comments and subscriptions, and we will move on. Conclusion. The XIAOMI Mi router for a global gigabit version is one of the best and most popular router for $30–35, and the regular version without the gigabit ports can be purchased for $20–23. See the links to the products in the description of the video. For this money you will get a beautiful, minimalistic and high performance router which is stable, supports both 2.4 and 5 GHz and gives excellent speeds. Router Thumb of the box gives the users all the features for full use: manual and intelligent bandwidth, QoS allocation, using DDNS, port forwarding, adding VPN and UPnP. And what else does the average user need? I think that even these features are not used by everyone, although the functions are often very necessary. If you do not have enough basic settings or you have problems with the router, it is possible to flash XIAOMI router for custom firmware from Padawan or OpenRT. But I strongly advise against doing this even if everything is working fine. There is a chance that you will lose your warranty and the device will brick. The only disadvantages are the lack of wall mounting and the lack of rubber legs to prevent the device from sliding down the table. Nevertheless, forum users solved this problem and shared their experience. Up to 7 variants of wall mount, from the simplest with the ties and fishing line and up to printing of a mount with a 3D printer. Can I recommend this router? Definitely yes. If you still have questions or suggestions, be sure to write about it in the comments. This was Martin with you, thanks for watching and see you soon in our next reviews. Bye!